I'm hitting the button. And apparently it's short. Let's try that again. There we go. I swear I hit the button. Hello. Welcome back to For Book's Sake. This is Heather Roberts.
And I am Veronica Adams, and we are the forever technologically plagued 1852 media.
It's so true. I swear I pressed the button, and then it was like this short burst, and then it just stopped. And anyway,
I had such high hopes for today, too, because when you logged on, we had no audio issues. We always have audio issues. Always.
It's always forever plaguing us.
But not today. They were in the back end today.
Yeah, apparently that's where we're at. But happy Friday to everyone.
Yes, happy Friday.
Yes, hope you're ready for the weekend. And we're going to lead you into the weekend with a discussion of the organization of RWA. Because they did something this past week.
Let's disambiguate for a moment. Yeah. It should come as no surprise to most of you who do listen regularly. We're talking about the Romance Writers of America, but
yes,
for anyone who might be new, that's who RWA is.
That's who RWA is. And RWA, from an objective standpoint, like if you're just looking at it and you're like, oh, the Romance Writers of America, that sounds like a wonderful organization. And like from an objective standpoint, it does sound like that. It is a group that was created, a trade organization, if you will, to group together romance writers of America, as it states, to, get together, have workshops. There's all different RWA chapters in different areas that if you want to uplift your craft, you can go and join this. Or this is not like a promotion. We'll get to why it's not in a moment.
Yeah.
But the thought of it is nice, right? That you could go and like uplift your craft and meet other romance writers in your area. They have a huge awards program that you can submit your book for. It can be judged. And it's like really the only real award system for romance writers.
Specifically for romance
writers.
You can't submit your romance novels for other literary prizes from other organizations. But in terms of the trade of romance writing specifically, RWA is the premier organization for members of that profession.
The Ritas, if you will.
The Vivians, yes.
Yes. All that stuff. All of that. So they have gotten themselves into trouble for years.
They've been basically just kind of soaking in a bath of hot water for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years now?
Something maybe longer. That. And the reason, so you're asking why? I mean, if you have not followed RWA and its demise.
If you're new to our community,
Yeah, if you're new, right. So if you're new to our community and you saw these RWA chapters and things like that, you're like, oh my God, I do want to get involved. That sounds amazing.
Just as a side note, the individual local chapters are probably some really great things to involve yourself in if you're interested in this kind of professional development and community for your work.
Correct.
It's the national organization that we're shitting on today.
Yes. I mean, I've been to some local RWA bruncheons, I think they called it.
Where it was like the brunch luncheon. Yeah.
Yes. And it's just, it was fun. It was a good time. I met a lot of romance writers. Mm-hmm. We had, you got some books and some swag. This was back in my blogging days. It was a really great experience. I made some friends that I still consider friends to this day at that particular luncheon that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful event. So not to say that there aren't pieces of it that could be beneficial to you. The problem is the national organization and what it's comprised of and their inability to become progressive in any way, shape, or form.
Forget progressive, just inclusive. We're not even asking them to we're not even asking them to lead the way. We're just asking them to open the doors for everybody and stop holding certain people back. They can't even do that.
They can't do that. There was a big thing. A big incident. I don't know how else to call it. A kerfluffle back in 2020 that really I didn't even know if the RWA as an organization was going to survive it.
Yeah, it is pretty bad.
It was pretty bad. And that had to do with the bringing up the fact that there were different people on different boards who had made some racist remarks, and then people started digging into it further.
Mhm.
And it's not that not like people didn't know that the RWA was not inclusive, as Veronica was
Right,
saying. Like,
right.
it's just it wasn't brought out into the public light in the way that it was in 2020.
People used to be quiet about their racism, bigotry, and
Yeah.
hate.
Right.
At some point, they stopped being quiet about it.
Yeah.
Why is a discussion for a completely different podcast, not this one. But
Right.
it happened, and
There
it,
was a
it
massive fallout.
immediately affected the board of RWA specifically
Correct. People were removed from the board.
for speaking out against the
They're speaking.
racist
Yes.
content that was supported. Yes.
Also, bringing up different policies and
Uh-huh.
noting that certain books by authors of color that may have been previously nominated for things
Yes.
maybe should have won, or why they didn't want, and started really digging into the whole Rita Awards and all of that. There was a lot of people then that saw the response from RWA was not stellar. This is why a PR response that is actually substantive and meaningful matters,
Yes.
because they did not have that. Their response was not one of, "Oh my god, we now see that you're correct. These are issues within our organization. We are going to actively work to fix them," and then actively work to fix them. No, 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 no. That's not what happened. So that was part of the problem. So then people started dropping out of RWA like flies, like just
And rightfully so. I
rightfully
mean,
so.
at a certain point, it becomes painfully obvious that your value to RWA is dependent on your it used to just be like trads versus indies, right?
Yeah,
Like trads are better than
right,
indies. And then it started to become pretty obvious that race was a factor too. I
right.
mean, the
Yeah,
first Rita awarded to a woman of color, I believe, was Kennedy Ryan in 2018.
right.
2018.
2018. And Kennedy Ryan is a
So,
phenomenal writer, but
yes,
there have been many phenomenal writers of color before her. So it's
yes,
just, you know, the whole thing.
yes,
There's
right.
a lot. So I believe they actually canceled the Rita Awards in 2020,
Sounds
notwithstanding the
right.
fact that there was COVID and whatnot. But they're still doing like I think they were doing like a virtual one, and that the whole
Yes,
event, the whole award thing got canceled.
right.
And then they've sort of not really been massively in the public eye for a couple of years.
I mean,
I mean, they have been. They've done other things. But
sure.
that was the most public, I think, in the
Yeah,
past couple
that
years.
one of the most explosive things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what else did they do,
Until
Veronica?
well, I believe there was some general disappointment and upset over the selection they made for the Vivian in 2021. I think when they brought awards back the following year, the novel that won romanticized,
Oh,
I
right.
believe,
Yes.
the genocide of indigenous people here in North America.
Yes, I do
The
remember that.
Civil War Western history, historical romance, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's bad
It
luck. It's a
it
really,
was
really bad look.
especially coming off of the year where you were
Right.
just raked over the coals for racist remarks,
Yes.
racist tendencies,
Mhm.
racist policies, things of that
Yes.
nature. And then
Mhm.
that's the book that it was. Yeah, I do recall that. I think I lumped it all together
Yeah.
in my mind, but
Well, it all
it was
happened like
bad.
bing, bang, boom so
It
quickly back to
did.
back to back.
It
So,
did.
yeah.
And well, so now why are they in hot water again? Why aren't they? But this
Well,
actually,
it's
doesn't have to do.
2024. It's me.
I know. It doesn't have to do with race this time. But
Well, made a completely different way.
right. So they had a post about a workshop that they were putting on
Yeah.
by an author and basically teaching. I can't even say that. I can't even say this with a straight face. Teaching authors how to use AI to essentially write your books for you. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, we're going to teach you how to use tools of AI to make your flows better or to make the admin part of your business better. It wasn't like that because that I could potentially get behind, right?
Yeah.
If we're cutting down on admin stuff to give you more writing time. But this was talking about using generative AI to write actual romance books, which
Yeah.
if you've listened to us at all and if you've been in this industry for more than a second, you would know that one, that is a massive no-no in
Yeah.
this industry. Two,
Yes.
there's lawsuits going on about this right now about
Yes.
generative AI.
Yes.
So why you would be saying like, let me teach you something that could potentially become illegal and hopefully will become illegal here shortly.
Let me teach you
And
something that violates Amazon's terms of service so you won't be able to sell your books on that retailer's platform. Like, come on
right,
now.
like let me teach you something that's violative of so many potential copyrights that are in existence right now.
Mhm.
It was so tone deaf. Like I don't know who
Typical
approved that.
national RWA.
Right. Who approved that? That's what I like. How can they be the romance writers
The
of
same the
America?
same the same people that gave an award to a book that romanticized and celebrated the historical massacre of indigenous people, the same people who
Right.
refused to consider authors of color who are just as deserving and as or more talented than some of their top tier preferred membership at writing for actual
Yeah.
awards. I mean, this is a no brainer. These
I
people are just
know.
absolutely out of step with the community and the profession that they
Claim to
purport
represent.
to
Yeah.
represent and offer, trade benefits for.
It's
It's
wild.
it is.
It's
It
wild.
is.
Just the disconnect
Mhm.
between the actual community, like you were saying, that they allege to represent, and then their actions is
Yeah.
just out of this world. And as you are should not be surprised, those in the romance industry were not thrilled with this
Yeah.
development, and the
Yeah.
comments on that post were, whew, yeah, they people were not pleased.
I actually did not check the comments. I should
Oh,
have.
I
Just
always
just
read the
just for
comments.
shock value and maybe entertainment. But like the post itself was enough for me to just like
Yeah,
they're at it again. Somebody let them off the leash, and the informal they. This is bad. This is bad.
it's so bad. It's so
And
bad.
for anyone who's new to the community who thinks that this is good professional advice, like,
I know. I want to see if they still have the post up. I'm going to look. I wouldn't be
oh, I'm sure they
surprised.
do. Did
Oh, hold on. Did they?
they take it down?
No, hold on. What is it? February 21st. They have a pinned post from one day ago. It is RWA's intent. I'm sure that this is in response. So I'm not even, I haven't read this yet, but
All right,
100% this is going to be their
let's blind
reply.
react to PR here. Come on now.
Yeah. It is RWA's intent always to give business minded authors resources and education so they can then decide how it best affects their own personal business. RWA is pro author, and it is part of our mission to advocate for our members and intellectual property. Sorry. A large part of that mission is offering as much knowledge on all sides of an issue as knowledge is power. We understand this is a serious issue with strong views on both sides. They're both siding this. Okay. I will keep my commentary to myself until the end. RWA recently signed on to an amicus brief that was brought to Washington, D.C., advocating for guidance and legislation to protect creatives' intellectual property, which you can read here. Warner Chappell Music Inc. versus Neely. And then there's a link. RWA respects each author and their personal choices for running their own business entities. If you would like to discuss this further with RWA, please email Claire at blah, 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 blah.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They're both sides. They're both siding
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
We understand this is a serious issue with strong views on both sides. So they're not, but they're signing, but then literally the next sentence, they say that we signed an amicus brief that
Uh-huh.
clearly takes the side.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
The
is the
protection
problem
of
with
intellectual
RWA.
property, which
Yeah,
unfortunately at this point in time, the AI that's available is not doing. Like that's it. Like I, I have no issue with AI in theory. And I only take issue with AI that violates the intellectual property rights of individual creators. And unfortunately, that's what the majority of AI that's available is doing right now.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
if we can come to some agreement about how to fairly compensate people for AI using their property and get licensing in place and protect individual creators, I'm all for it. Use AI to write your book.
right.
Fine. Whatever.
But those
But
protections don't currently exist right now.
you're
So,
you're
yeah,
literally platforming someone who's teaching your membership how to steal from other people through a third-party service that
right,
conglomerates everything it scrapes off the internet and then regurgitates it in a different format. And then signing on to an amicus brief to lobby the highest court in the land to protect the intellectual property rights of your membership.
right. And so, for those of you who are like, "Oh, their PR response couldn't have been that bad." No, it was similar. It was as similar as this. It was that bad. This is terrible. This is a
Whoever
terrible
in charge of
response.
RWA should run for office. They are
I know,
as double talking and two faced as any politician.
100%. I do like this comment. Read the room and know your audience before you publish something stupid. Follow me for more obvious writing tips.
Oh,
Oh, bless. Let me see if that I don't know if that actual AI post is still up. I mean, I was going on here to see if the post was still up.
yeah.
It is not. The post is no longer up.
Have they canceled the workshop?
I mean, that is a very good question. But their response only has 12 comments and 9 reactions. So, doesn't appear that people are, coming to their page in droves to
Yeah.
see. Uh, but yeah, they're not very good. They're trying to walk a line to make everybody happy, and unfortunately, you can't make everyone happy when there's an
Right.
issue that so deeply affects your industry. I there's there's no both sides of this.
You wouldn't platform a plagiarist.
Right.
And
There's intellectual upholding intellectual property and there's not.
right. And no matter what you think about AI in terms of it doing the work, it is right now, it is essentially plagiarism.
Right. For generative AI for
Yes.
writing.
Yes.
Unless you have an AI system that is only that you're feeding in things to train it,
Hmm.
right? Otherwise, it's going to be pulling paragraphs and creating words from other people's works. That's
Right.
because something needs to train it. There needs to be source material.
It has been coded and informed by everything that's already available on the internet,
Right.
including not just works in the public domain, but pirated books that are available
Yes.
on
That's the biggest problem.
right on these, run around servers that are, usually offshore somewhere in another part of the world where intellectual property rights aren't recognized or where US law is not respected. And that's the information that the computers are using to respond to the prompts. So it doesn't matter if you are giving, training in terms of what you're asking for. What's coming back
Right.
is some amalgamation of other people's writing.
I mean,
Period.
I've seen several examples where
Mhm.
there were like three different books with three different genres and tropes and things like
Yeah,
that. And the first chapter was essentially identical between the three of them
incredible.
because it just changed names and it changed like if there one was a shifter romance, one was a billionaire romance, so like it changed like things like that. But
Okay.
essentially the rest of it was exactly the same and it was all AI generated because that creates the problem, right? So
So
if
it's
you're
text
doing
spinning. It's text
yeah,
spinning itself. It
it
creates one, and then when somebody else asks for something
yes.
different, it spins it and just gives you the exact same thing, but to the specifications from your details.
Right. So you're going to
Incredible.
not only be not creating the book that you want to be creating, but you're essentially going to be creating a book that is already existing on the market when somebody else
Yeah.
does the same thing. And
Right.
that's just going to lead to a terrible reader experience, if we want to use Amazon's words,
Yeah.
because people get very annoyed when they read the same exact thing over and over again. And readers know. Readers I am forever shocked that readers can be like, I read this same book, like they can find the plagiarist. You know
Right.
how like the plagiarists are usually called out because a reader discovers
It's
it.
it is always a
It is
reader.
always a reader. And
It
it's
is always a
amazing to
reader.
me. Yeah. That they're like, oh, yeah, this is just like that book that I
Yep.
just read or read
Or that I
5 years
read 5 years
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I don't remember anything that even remotely close. I mean, no, I don't. I don't.
Wild.
So
Absolutely wild. And this is so hard because it feels like we are absolutely anti AI and we're
we're
not.
not.
We're anti stealing intellectual property. We're anti
Yeah.
taking from creators without compensating them fairly.
I love certain
We're
bits
anti
of AI.
plagiarism.
Yeah, I'm totally for certain bits of AI.
Sure.
I think that if it can make your business run faster and easier,
Mhm.
like the admin bits that they're coming
Mhm.
out with to help, generative email replies, things like that. Amazing.
Facebook ad
Amazing.
copy.
Facebook ad
Put your
copy.
blurb in the put your blurb in the description box and let Facebook generate like 87 different versions of an ad for you. Like
Right.
those things are fine.
They're not they're right. That's not what we're concerned about. When you're taking a book or content to sell in the commercial space,
Yep.
that's the issue. That's when the actual content itself is being generated. That's the issue.
So
So
RWA once again doing the completely spineless thing and the both sidesing thing like that.
I couldn't believe I when I read that they both sides that is not how you craft a PR response or response to a crisis. You don't do
No.
that.
To get out in front of it and say, we understand the concerns of our community. It's premature to be discussing the use of artificial intelligence in writing unless or
We
until we solve the issues surrounding intellectual property rights.
we
And because we
regret
support
that.
our
Yeah,
authors, we've signed this amicus brief. Like,
right. We regret that we endorsed this
mhm,
workshop. It we have pulled it back, and it was not within after a review and your replies that we are listening to. We realize that this is not in line with our beliefs and our values, and we've also signed this amicus brief. I mean, that would be better. I mean, you still can't undo what you did, but at least you acknowledge that you caused harm, that you realize the error of your ways. Not this is a serious
it's
discussion that has very strong opinions on both sides.
it's like that emotionally immature parent who's like, I guess I'm just the worst parent in the world. You know, like
It- well,
I can never do anything right.
think about who's running it.
Zero account. Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
running RWA? It's
Yeah.
the
Well,
generation that does that shit.
yeah. The,
Which is why we run into all these problems.
the generation who sent the rest of us to therapy.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Oh my God.
Yeah. Just zero accountability. Zero accountability. Zero accountability for the issues regarding authors of color and the representation of platforming unspeakable horror. And,
Right.
I mean, listen.
Is it different podcast? Veronica and I keep saying that we want to
I am
start.
ready to just go on a rant, but this is neither the
I
time
know.
nor the place, and this is not the audience to rant to either. We're just here to provide content related to publishing, and in this particular instance, specifically for romance authors. And RWA still isn't representing your best interests, folks. They just are
They
not.
just are not. They're not. And yeah, Veronica and I keep saying that we want to start a second podcast where we can
Yes.
just rant and vent about all of the
Yeah. For those of
things
you who want to
happening in the
hear
world.
our opinions on other stuff, we will gladly give them to you.
We certainly will, because that, yeah, man, there's just so much happening
There
right now
is.
that
There is.
is
It's a lot.
it's a lot. I mean, we are living in unprecedented times. We've been living in unprecedented times since
Entire lives have
2020.
been unprecedented
I
times.
know. Well, yeah, since before that then even. Yeah.
Yeah.
It we haven't had a moment of peace. So, you know, I'm sure you have opinions too. And Veronica and I are we tell each other stuff, but we don't need to publicize it quite yet. Or
No,
we haven't
no.
gotten around to publicizing it quite yet.
Maybe we should, just not in this particular context. It's just really
Yeah.
hard when you believe something so sincerely, and this touches on so many different corners of our experiences as a society. And
Right.
this this is wrong. Okay, it's just wrong. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be telling your trade members
Right.
that you're going to help them learn about technology that is literally stealing from your own
Your
membership.
own trade members.
And it's just as tone deaf as, because this doesn't just hurt minority authors, this hurts every author.
This hurts every author. That's why I
Like,
was saying this is at least they're not doing something overtly racist this
yes,
time.
for once we're not besmirching queer authors or authors of color. We're actually going to hurt everybody in our
We're just going to
membership
hurt
all at
everyone.
once.
Yeah, everyone. All at once.
It's not right.
No, it's not. And their response was lukewarm at best, which is par for the course with RWA. So, our advice is that if you have a local RWA chapter that you find valuable, more power to you. And I absolutely think that you should go and try to get some value out of that, or at least go to an open meeting, get a connection. Do you want to necessarily join the national organization?
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
no,
it's up
what
to you. You may still find value, but
you may
at least
still find value.
now you know what you're looking for. Now you know what to expect from
Right.
the other. I mean,
You know what you're
whatever.
getting into
Yes.
if that's the case. And you
And there
should
are
go
also organizations regionally that used to be affiliate RWA chapters that are now independent. Those
right.
exist. There are several of those out there who have
Yeah.
since decided to end their affiliation with the national organization. So you don't even
So,
necessarily need to look
right.
for a local RWA chapter.
You may find something else that works for you, but yeah, I think that you should at least go into it eyes wide open. This
Yes.
is what I'm getting into. And if you can go in and make change, I applaud you and I hope that you are successful.
Yes, because there have been
And
people before you who've attempted to enact
yeah,
change in the organization and were very unsuccessful, some to the
and
point of
we're
losing board seats and things
yes.
like that. Like,
I
just
was going to say they were removed and
being
voted off the
kicked to the
board.
curb and having the door slammed in their very, very well-known faces.
Yes. So things have happened.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the success in the world, because I do think that the romance community could truly benefit from a organization
Yes.
that would represent romance writers of America in a
Mhm.
positive light, that pushes our industry forward,
Yeah.
and that is run with integrity and respect for the craft and the industry, and is inclusive of all.
Yes. Is a safe
I
place for
mean,
authors of all
Yes.
Shapes, sizes, races, colors, creeds, etc.
I think that we would truly benefit from that. And I would absolutely love, I mean, there's the Authors Guild that has been really getting involved, not to be confused with the Erotica Authors Guild that used to
Right,
exist years ago.
right.
Let's not get that twisted. The the Authors Guild is a valid and fair, good organization that you may want to go and sign up for as an author, because they are very much into protecting authors' legal rights when it
Yes.
comes to these types
Very,
of things.
very active in these intellectual property cases and things
Yes.
of that nature.
And I wish that RWA had the same type of response and ability to represent their members in that way. Because, yeah, it's more specific to romance writers, whereas the Authors Guild is a more generic, all authors, any genre, is my
Yeah.
understanding, can join. So I wish that romance writers specifically had that sort of backing, right? Because there's a thriller writers trade organization that has come under has has let go one of their board members recently due to his own actions. But the fact that they did that succinctly, swiftly, gives me a lot of respect for that organization. They took action quickly. They saw, done.
Mhm.
Psh, we're done.
Right.
The Romance Writers of America, apparently, that I don't see that. That wouldn't happen in the same light. It wouldn't. They'd only get rid of people that cause them dissension from within, not
Yeah,
that
well.
they, yeah. I could keep going. I'm sure
Okay.
all of you have way more that you could talk about of your experiences and your memories. We've only lightly
Yeah, scratched the
scratched the
surface.
surface. Yeah. So, and not to leave on a bummer note, but I felt that you should all.
I was gonna say, let's
I
just go ahead and announce the second podcast now. Like,
know, right? No, I think it's important though to know what's out there as far as organizations
for
go
sure,
and
for
what
sure.
can protect your rights and what is an organization that you may not want to
Yeah,
support.
right. And for those of you who've been around for a while, just a nice little reminder that RWA really has not changed that much, despite all of the drama and the calls for change from romance writers generally.
Yeah.
They're still resisting that, as has been the case in a lot of areas of our society where the old guard refuses to learn, change,
Learn,
grow, etc.
progress.
Yeah, even sometimes that's too much to ask.
So,
So, if you have values that are similar to the ones we've discussed here, RWA probably isn't for you.
right. So it's something to know. And I mean, something to think about where you're putting your money, because
Yes,
that's the whole thing. There's a membership fee.
you pay
And
dues. Yep.
so, yeah, you pay dues and your money goes towards something. And so what is it going towards? And so that's what you really need to think about.
Yep.
We would love for there to be a comeback story and a transformation, like I was saying, of RWA. I would love to be able to support that organization wholeheartedly.
Sure. Sure.
And I feel a lot of romance authors feel that way too.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but go have a good weekend and
Yes.
drink some tea and read a romance book and enjoy enjoy your
Find
non-AI human
yes.
created romance book,
Find trade
as it should be.
organizations that actually represent your interests
Yes.
instead of just
Uh,
pretending to.
and until next time, this is for Buck's sake. Am I hitting the button? And it
You did
again.
it! Yay!
Yay! God bless.